All right, so let's go to problem 3 on your list here. And it says farm programs that pay farmers not to plant crops on all their land. We actually do that in the U.S. We pay farmers not to plant. We think it's to protect them. So the question is, does it protect them? Take a minute, go through the answers, and let's see what you come up with. Okay? All right, let's see what you said here. It says, okay, farm programs that pay farmers not to plant on all their land, A, hurt farmers by lowering their total revenue and hurt consumers by causing shortages of some food items. All right. So let's start off with our supply and demand curve. Very common first step here. I hope you realize now through chapter 12, this is what I do a lot of. And I'm hoping you get into the habit of doing the same thing. So now we're going to draw a demand curve for a food commodity. And let's call wheat. That's probably pretty big. Quantity of wheat. Here's the price of wheat. I'll just put WH there for wheat. All right. And we'll have a supply curve, something like this. Now I've drawn this demand curve and supply curve, and we're going to talk, pretty much in the short run, let's say a year, because that's a whole crop planting, et cetera, et cetera. And once you've planted your crop, it's going to be obviously hard to kind of expand your supply. So here it is. Now, they say the government pays these farmers not to plant in all their land. So let's say this is a situation before the government pays. Now the government pays them not to plant. What's that going to do? Is it going to affect the demand curve? No, it's going to affect the supply curve. So the supply curve is going to shift back here. All right. So the supply curve shifts back from S0, and we'll put this in blue here, to S1. And that's caused by the government policy, which is paying farmers not to plant in all their land. And the question they're asking us here is, well, here's the answer they give you. Hurt farmers by lowering their total revenue. Hurt farmers by lowering their total revenue. In other words, they're going to sell less crops. Is that going to hurt them or help them? So the problem is really driving towards elasticity, as is the whole chapter. And let's see if we can figure this one out. All right, so here's the situation. Government pushes supply curve back by encouraging farmers, by giving them incentives not to plant their crops. The price is clearly going to rise here. The question is, what happens to the revenue of farmers? Well, remember we've done these problems before. This is the revenue the farmers lost. I'll go over that. And this is the revenue the farmers gained. Why do I know that? Well, we know this. Initially, this was the quantity and this was the price. So this little split right here is caused by the decrease in quantity at the original price. But that's offset by the increase in price for farmers now being sold at Q1. So total revenue rises if this area exceeds this area, which certainly looks like it does. Okay? So in other words, farmers have not been hurt. Their revenue actually has risen here, even though the government has paid them to plant less crops. And the reason is obviously the demand is inelastic for these kind of food commodities. All right? So it says hurt farmers by lowering the total revenue, wrong, and hurt consumers by causing shortages of some food items. Well, it's not a boon for consumers, right? There's less wheat on the market, prices have risen, so consumers clearly have not benefited by this policy, but farmers have. And this is why farmers are so supportive of price supports in the U.S., because in many instances the demand is inelastic, and by pushing back the supply curve, all right, farmers are going to actually benefit by this. So A is wrong. Let's quit B. Help farmers by cutting costs, which helps consumers by lowering food prices. Wait a minute. By cutting costs. Well, they're going to plant less land. That may have some cost. But this is the market for wheat in this particular case. So if everybody's cutting back, the supply curve is going to shift to the left here. And the price is not going to fall. Obviously, price has to rise. So answer B is clearly wrong as well, because consumers are not benefiting. They're losing in this particular case by the increase in the price. All right, so B is out. Let's go to C. Help farmers by increasing total revenue. Yes, we know that to be true in the market, but hurt consumers by raising prices. Yes, price goes up, quantity demand has gone down, so consumers are taking a beating here. Farmers are doing okay. C looks like our answer. Just to be sure, let's go to D. Help farmers directly since they receive government payments, but has no real effect on consumers. Well, it does help government. It does help the farmers. They do get payments from the government, but it does have an effect on consumers. Price rise, there's less to be bought in the market. This is not a good deal for consumers. So our answer is C for number 3. And we can move on to the next one.